Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, as you close your eyes and surrender to sleep, you will pass right by a hidden gateway. It's a portal to a deeper kind of knowing, one that most of us ignore night after night. But what if the last thoughts you hold before drifting off could shape your dreams? And what if those dreams could in turn begin to shape your waking life? You climb into bed each night carrying the entire mental clutter of your day. The unresolved problems, unanswered questions, the static of a dozen distractions. Instead of letting this chaos turn into a restless night, imagine if you could gently hand it over to your mind at its most insightful. You can. And tonight you'll learn how the hidden power of sleep to perceive sleep as mere biological function. Mandatory pause button pressed on our existence. To restore physical energy is to see the ocean and recognize only the water, missing the entire universe of life, movement and depth that churns beneath its surface. This common understanding, while not incorrect, is profoundly incomplete. It is a reduction of a cathedral to a single brick. Sleep in its truest essence is not an interruption of our consciousness, but a migration of it. It is the vital bridge, the silent, unwavering pathway that connects the bustling, well-lit city of our conscious mind to the vast, ancient and intuitive wilderness of our subconscious. This deeper part of ourselves is not idle while we are awake. It is the silent partner, the great librarian of our soul, perceiving, processing and understanding the world on a level that our waking self with its limited vocabulary of logic and reason cannot hope to access. It sees the patterns in the chaos, hears the harmonics in the noise and remembers everything. Every fleeting glance, every unspoken word, every feeling that was too complex to process in the moment. It is the keeper of our deepest truth, and sleep is the only time we are granted full unfettered audience with it. Consider the architecture of your average day. From the moment the conscious mind flickers to life with the alarm, it is besieged. It is a manager in a corporation of one, constantly firefighting a relentless barrage of decisions. From the mundane, what to wear, what to eat, to the profound, how to navigate a difficult conversation, how to solve a complex problem at work. It is flooded with conversations, both real and digital, each demanding a piece of its attention. It is drowned in endless streams of information, news feeds, emails, notifications, a torrent of data that it must somehow sort, categorize and react. The conscious mind is in charge, and it is busy, so incredibly busy, operating at a frantic pace just to keep its head above water. It operates on a narrow band of reality focused on the immediate, the literal, the actionable. It is a brilliant and necessary instrument. But it is also a terrible tyrant, convinced that its perception is the only one that matters. It dismisses intuition as a whim, a gut feeling as indigestion, and a deeper knowing as imagination. It is the voice that talks and talks and talks so loudly that it becomes impossible to hear the whispers from the depths. But at night, a profound shift occurs as you lie down as the lights dim and the world's demands fade into silence. The conscious mind begins to tire. Its grip, so firm and unyielding throughout the day, begins to loosen. The constant internal monologue starts to slow, its sentences becoming fragmented, its logic growing soft at the edges. This is the moment of opportunity. This is when the helm is quietly, gracefully passed. The subconscious, which has been waiting patiently in the wings all day, observing, absorbing and recording everything, now takes the helm. It does not announce its arrival with fanfare, it simply begins its work. This is when your mind, freed from the dictatorship of the immediate, engages in its most profound work. It quietly sorts through the clutter of the day. Not as a janitor throwing things away, but as a master curator finding meaning in the mess. It draws unexpected connections between a problem you face at noon and a memory from your childhood you hadn't thought of in years. It weaves together a feeling of anxiety from a meeting with a song you heard on the radio, synthesizing them into a new understanding. It communicates its insights not through spreadsheets or bullet points, but through the ancient symbolic language of dreams. A dream is not a random movie. It is a coded message, a detailed report from the deepest parts of yourself presenting its findings in a form that the conscious mind can hopefully later decipher. It speaks in metaphors, in emotions, in landscapes and characters that represent the inner dynamics of your life. The real opportunity then, the immense power that lies dormant within this nightly ritual, is not in merely experiencing this process passively as a passenger on a strange journey, but in learning how to actively steer it. To believe we are powerless in this transition is to believe we can only ever be spectators in our own lives. But we are not. We can learn to interact with this process. We can learn to pose questions to this deeper intelligence before we surrender to it. We can learn to set an intention for the kind of sorting, connecting, and communicating we would like it to do on our behalf. This is the hidden power of sleep. It is a collaborative workshop. It is a nightly council meeting between the conscious you and the subconscious you. The conscious you brings the agenda, the unresolved problem, the lingering question, the creative block. It presents it clearly and calmly. And then it must practice the hardest thing for a conscious mind to do. It must let go, it must trust. It must surrender the need to control the process and allow the subconscious, with its vast and non-linear intelligence, to go to work. It is the difference between throwing raw materials into a basement and handing a detailed blueprint to a master architect. The materials are the same, but the outcome is worlds apart. To harness this power is to move from being a victim of your dreams, startled by their chaos, confused by their symbolism, to being a partner with them. It is to recognize that the bridge between your two minds is not a one-way street. You can send messages across it before you cross it yourself. You can influence the nature of the intelligence you will receive on the other side. This is not a mystical fantasy. It is a functional reality of how our minds are wired. The conscious mind sets the direction, and the subconscious mind in its own mysterious and profound way charts the course. Learning to provide that direction is perhaps the most practical and transformative skill we can ever cultivate. Turning 8 hours of rest into 8 hours of profound inner guided work. Why your mind is most open before sleep. There is a reason, a deep and resonant truth that echoes across centuries and cultures why the moments suspended in the hush between wakefulness and sleep have been revered by mystics, philosophers, and wisdom traditions the world over. This is no historical accident, no mere poetic fancy. This twilight state, this line-out space where the solid ground of day gives way to the flowing waters of night is not a void of nothing. It is a sacred threshold. It is the quiet porous borderland between the external world of action, form, and others and the internal world of being, essence, and the self. It is the moment the gates of the fortress of your conscious mind are drawn open and the drawbridges lowered across the moat of daily concerns, allowing for a free exchange between the kingdom within and the universe without. To be in this state is to be at your most authentically receptive, not to the opinions of others, but to the silent knowing voice of your own deepest intelligence. It is a state of grace that we are granted every single night of our lives. And most nights we are simply too unaware, too preoccupied, or too weary to even notice we are standing in it, let alone to use it. Scientifically, this reference is mapped onto the very physiology of our brains. As you prepare for sleep, the high-frequency beta waves that dominate your waking state. The waves of active concentration, focus, and external engagement begin to recede. They are replaced by the slower rolling rhythm of alpha waves. This is a brainwave state of relaxation, of daydreaming, of quiet reflection. It is a state of calm alertness, where the external world fades into soft focus and the internal world begins to brighten. It is a state of profound suggestibility, not in the manipulative sense, but in the sense of being open, impressionable, and deeply receptive. The critical firewall of your conscious mind, the part that analyzes doubts and rejects information that doesn't fit its immediate model of the world, is temporarily offline for maintenance. This creates a unique and potent window of opportunity. In this open and receptive state, the thoughts you consciously choose to hold, the words you gently whisper to yourself are not just fleeting notions, they are like seeds. And they are not thrown onto the hard-packed earth of a busy day where they would be quickly washed away by the next downpour of distraction. No, in this state, they are planted directly into the deep, dark, fertile soil of your subconscious. They sink in with a weight, a potency, and a depth of penetration that they could never achieve during the noise of the day. They bypass the gatekeeper and are delivered straight to the throne room. This physiological reality carries immense consequence. a responsibility we rarely consider. It means that the content of your mind in these final moments before sleep is not trivial. It is the most important input you will give your psyche all day. A mind that is filled with worry, that replays the arguments of the day, that scrolls through a feed of anxiety-inducing news, is actively planting those seeds. It is taking the weeds of its day and deliberately sowing them into its most fertile ground. Is it any wonder then that such a mind will harvest a crop of anxious, restless, and chaotic dreams? The subconscious, as we have established, does not judge, it accepts. It will faithfully nurture whatever it is given. It will take the seed of worry and grow it into a full-bodied experience of fear. It will take the seed of anger and weave it into a narrative of conflict. The process is neutral, but the outcome is entirely dependent on the gardener's choice of seed. Conversely, a mind that is focused with calm and clear intention can cultivate guidance. This is the active, purposeful application of this ancient knowledge. Understanding that this threshold moment is one of supreme openness allows you to approach it not as a passive victim of your day's residue, but as an active architect of your night's journey. It is the difference between letting the wind scatter random seeds across your field and carefully selecting the finest, most nourishing seeds and placing them into the earth with your own hands. When you consciously choose to plant the question, what is the next step for me? You are not demanding an immediate answer. You are setting a direction for your subconscious intelligence to explore. When you plant a theme, I seek clarity on my relationship, you are giving your inner curator a specific subject around which to organize its nightly exhibition. When you plant a feeling of peace or gratitude, you are providing the emotional tone for the dreams that will follow. This practice transforms the pre-sleep moment from a time of mental chaos into a sacred ritual of sowing. You are using the natural suggestible state of your brain not for passive consumption of external stimuli, but for the active cultivation of your inner. You are aligning yourself with the wisdom traditions that understood this power instinctively. They knew that to go to sleep with a prayer on your lips, a mantra in your heart, or a single pointed question in your mind was to engage in the most direct dialogue with the divine within. It is the ultimate act of self-communication. It is the recognition that this daily window of openness is the most powerful moment you have to influence, not just your night, but the very fabric of your understanding, your creativity, and your path forward. It is the key that unlocks the hidden power of sleep, turning a period of vulnerability into the most potent strategic session of your day, planting seeds of thought into the subconscious. To truly grasp the mechanics of influencing your dreams and by extension your deeper understanding, one must first adopt a new vision of the inner self. Do not see your mind as a machine with levers to pull and buttons to push. For a machine can be forced, it can be overridden, and it operates on a strict, predictable logic that often fails to capture the nuance of human experience. Instead, begin to see it as a living, breathing ecosystem. Imagine your subconscious mind as a vast, fertile garden. This is not a small, orderly plot of land, but a wild, deep, and incredibly potent territory that exists just beneath the surface of your everyday awareness. Its soil is rich with the compost of every experience you have ever had, every memory, emotion, every forgotten sensation. This garden is perpetually active, life constantly stirring within it, whether you are paying attention or not. And throughout your waking hours, your eye is gardener, but often a distracted one, a careless. You walk through this inner landscape constantly, and with every thought, every reaction, every fleeting worry or moment of joy, you are scattering seeds. All day this random sowing occurs. A moment of frustration in traffic, a seed of anger is tossed into the soil. A flash of anxiety about a future meeting. A seed of fear finds its home. A critical thought about yourself or another. A sharp, thorny seed is planted. Some positive seeds find their way into a moment of gratitude, a feeling of accomplishment. But for many, the day is an unintentional storm of sowing weeds of stress, fear, and frustration. These seeds are not inert, they are alive with potential, and if left unattended, they will take root, they will grow. And your inner landscape will become overrun with the wild, unchecked growth of these negative patterns. their roots tangling deep, shaping the very terrain of your mind from below. This is why the pre-leap moment is not merely a transition. It is the most critical gardening session of your day. It is your deliberate, purposeful chance to tend to this inner world with intention. As the conscious mind, the often distracted gardener, begins to retire for the evening, you have a final golden opportunity to walk through the rows of your psyche. Not as a careless scatterer, but as a master cultivator. This is the time to choose your seeds with exquisite care. The words you gently whisper to yourself in this state of drowsy reverence are not just words, they are the selected seeds you wish to nurture. They are the chosen cultivars for the night's growth. And in this unique state, these seeds bypass the usual barriers. The critical, analytical, conscious mind, the part of you that would normally question, doubt, and dissect such an idea, is already half asleep. Its gate is unguarded. Therefore, the seeds you plant do not get analyzed for their genetic makeup or their probability of success. They are not held up to the harsh light of logic. They go straight to the source. They sink whole and intact directly into the deep, dark, welcoming soil of the subconscious. This is the most crucial aspect to understand. Your subconscious does not judge, it does not analyze. It possesses no inherent moral compass that labels one seed good and another bad. It is a force of pure acceptance and execution. It is like nature itself. The soil does not decide whether an oak or a poison ivy is more worthy. It simply provides the nutrients and environment for whatever is planted to grow. It is a faithful servant, utterly obedient and incredibly powerful. It will nurture whatever seed you plant with the same unwavering commitment. If you plant the seed of lack and worry, it will work through the night to find evidence of lack and worry in your memory banks, weaving them into your dreams and reinforcing that reality in your field. If you plant a seed of healing and clarity, it will set to work cross-referencing your experiences, making new connections, and assembling insights that support healing and clarity. It does this through its own language, the language of symbol, metaphor, and emotion that manifests as our dreams. The practice, therefore, is the practice of conscious selection. It is the mindful choosing of the seed. It is the understanding that you are never not planting. The only choice is whether you will plant by accident with the debris of your day or with purpose, with a clear vision of the harvest you wish to one day. This nightly ritual is the difference between allowing your inner garden to grow wild with the weeds of past reactions and consciously cultivating it to become a sanctuary of peace, a wellspring of solutions, and a reflection of your highest intentions. You are the gardener. The power to choose the seeds has always been yours. This moment before sleep is simply when that power is at its absolute peak, when the soil is most receptive, and when a single well-chosen seed can sink its roots deeper than 1,000 scattered during the noise of the day. The ancient practice of speaking to yourself before rest. In our modern age, we often operate under the illusion of novelty, believing that our discoveries, particularly those related to self-improvement and inner exploration, are unprecedented, born of our unique time and technological advancement. This illusion creates a sense of fragility around such practices. If they are new, they are untested. And if they are untested, they can be easily dismissed when results are not immediately forthcoming. But to view the practice of guiding the subconscious through pre-sleep intention as a new technique is to ignore the deep resonant hum of history that surrounds it. This is not a new idea. It is not a modern hack or a fleeting trend unearthed from a recent blog post. It is in fact one of the most ancient and enduring techniques known to humanity, a universal thread running through the tapestry of countless cultures and epochs, simply dressed in different names and rituals across time, what we might today call setting an intention. A past civilization called prayer, what another culture termed a mantra, another understood as a sacred invocation. The packaging differs, the specific deities or philosophies change, but the core fundamental principle remains utterly unchanged and unwavering. The final thought, the final word, the final feeling that you entertain and hold in your mind as you cross the threshold into sleep will echo powerfully into the realm of your dreams. It will set the tone for the dialogue your subconscious will initiate throughout the night. One can easily envision the ancient monks in their silent stone cells lying on simple pallets. Their day was one of discipline, of chant, of manual labor, and of study. But their night held its own sacred duty. They would not simply collapse into exhausted sleep. They would prepare, and as they lay down, they would begin to repeat, not with frantic effort, but with a serene and steady rhythm, a single sacred phrase, a line of scripture, a name of the divine. Over and over the words would flow, a gentle stream of sound and silence. The conscious mind, captivated by the repetition, would gradually quiet its chatter. The body would relax, and they would fall asleep with the vibration of that phrase as the last conscious artifact in their awareness. They did this not as a meaningless ritual, but because they understood through wisdom passed down through generations that this final thought was an offering made to the depths of their own being. It was the key that would unlock a specific chamber within the soul for the night's journey. Similarly, the great philosophers of old who wrestled with complex questions of existence, ethics and reality did not only toil under the lamplight with scrolls and ink. When reason had reached its limit, they would engage in a different kind of work. They would plant a single perfectly formulated question into the soil of their mind lying in the dark. They would ponder it without demanding an immediate answer. They would examine it from all angles. And then crucially, they would release their grip on it, trusting with a profound and knowing trust that their sleeping mind, their vast subconscious intelligence would work. They knew the conscious mind was a fine tool for analysis, but the subconscious was the forge where true insight was smelted. This works not through magic, not through superstition, but because of the immutable mechanics of the human psyche. Your subconscious intelligence is always awake. It is always working. It is the perpetual motion machine of your consciousness, the eternal background process that never shuts down. When you feed it a clear focused intention right before sleep, you are not activating something dormant. You are simply directing something that is already eternally active. You are giving this mighty engine a specific task. You are focusing its boundless energy. The monk's sacred phrase gives the subconscious a theme for contemplation, a vibration to align with, a frequency to resonate at throughout the night. The philosopher's question provides a complex puzzle, a set of parameters within which the subconscious can freely associate using the entire library of the individual's life experience to forge new connections and arrive at novel solutions. The modern individual seeking clarity on a personal dilemma is engaging in the exact same process. The mechanism is identical. This historical perspective grants the practice a weight and a credibility that a new idea could never possess. It tells us that we are not experimenting. We are participating in a timeless human tradition. We are utilizing an innate capability that our ancestors in their own ways recognized and revered. This understanding should fill us with confidence. It is not a fragile thing we do, but a robust and ancient practice. We are not hoping it works. We are applying a principle that has been proven effective for millennia. We are speaking to ourselves before rest because humans have always known that it is in those final quiet moments that we can best communicate with the deepest, wisest, and most eternal part of who we are. Why dreams hold the keys to unanswered questions? The frustration of an unanswered question, a problem that refuses to yield to our most diligent conscious efforts, is a universal human experience. We stare at the data. We turn the issue over and over in our minds. We talk it through with others, and yet the solution remains elusive, hovering just beyond the edge of our understanding. We eventually set it aside often with a sense of resignation, and we go to sleep, and then sometimes in the quiet of the morning, upon waking, or even in the vivid clarity of a dream itself, the answer is simply, it arrives not as the result of further straining, but as a gift fully formed and undeniable. This is not a mysterious fluke or a trick of a tired brain. This happens because dreams operate in a realm that exists beyond the stringent, often limiting rules of daytime logic. The conscious mind is a magnificent tool, but it is also a linear one. It operates in straight lines, following paths of cause and effect, of societal norms, and of learned patterns. It is excellent at analysis, but often poor at true synthesis. It can take things apart, but struggles to put them together in radically new ways. It is constrained by its own rules, like a master chess player who is brilliant, but can only move the pieces in predetermined ways. The subconscious mind, the architect of our dreams, recognizes no such board. It plays by entirely different rules, or perhaps by no rules at all. In the dream state, the mind is freed from the tyranny of the literal and the sequential. It engages in what can only be described as pure, unadulterated association. It is a master weaver taking threads from the loom of your entire existence. A memory from childhood, a feeling you had yesterday, a piece of forgotten knowledge from a book you read years ago, a scent, a color, an unacknowledged fear, and weaving them together into a narrative tapestry or a potent symbol. This process of free association is the key that unlocks the door to which our conscious mind could not find the key. The conscious mind in its larity tries to solve a problem by moving forward along a single path. When it hits a dead end, it is stuck. The dreaming mind, however, approaches the problem from all directions at once, from above and from below, from the past and from the future. It makes connections between things that the waking mind would deem utterly unrelated because they defy categorical logic. A problem at work about a failed marketing campaign might connect in a dream to a memory of trying to get your mother's attention as a child. The link is not logical, it is emotional, thematic. The feeling of being ignored is the common thread. And by presenting this connection in a dream, perhaps as a symbol of a child shouting in an empty room, the subconscious is not just showing you a random picture. It is providing a profound diagnostic. It is revealing the core emotional engine of the problem. Something the conscious mind focused on click-through rates and demographics had completely overlooked. The moment upon waking is the moment your conscious mind, now refreshed, is able to translate the symbolic non-linear truth of the dream back into linear actionable insight. You understand not just the what of the problem, but the why. Most people, however, are passive recipients of this process. They allow the day's chaos, the last argument they had, the most stressful email they read, the most gripping show they watched to provide the raw materials for the dreamer. The subconscious, ever obedient, will take that chaotic debris and weave it into a narrative of anxiety, repetition, and confusion. The dreams become mere echoes of the day's noise, offering no new insight, only reflection. By speaking with a clear intention before sleep, you change the input. You are no longer providing the weaver with a random pile of scraps. You are providing a specific high-quality thread, a question, a theme, a request for clarity. You are not dictating the final design, but you are setting the central scene. You are guiding the narrative away from the chaos of the day and toward the resolution of the deeper self. You are asking the weaver to create a tapestry that addresses your core need, not your surface-level irritation. This is how dreams become more than just stories. They become consultations with your inner oracle, a source of wisdom that has access to all the information your conscious mind has forgotten, ignored, or deemed irrelevant. It is the part of you that sees the whole board, not just the next move, the right words to speak before closing your eyes. In the pursuit of this nightly dialogue, there exists a common and understandable misconception that there is a specific magical set of words, a perfect incantation that must be discovered and recited with precision to unlock the secrets of the subconscious. This search for the perfect phrase can itself become a source of anxiety, a final mental hurdle at the end of the day that contradicts the very state of calm receptivity we are trying to achieve. It is crucial to understand that the power of this practice does not reside in the dictionary definition of the words themselves. Language for the subconscious is not a set of instructions to be executed like computer. The subconscious speaks a more primal language, the language of feeling, of vibration, of essence. Therefore, what you say is infinitely less important than how you say it. The words are merely the vessel. The intention, the emotion, and the state of being behind them are the cargo. The key is to imbue your words with three essential qualities: clarity, calm, and trust. Clarity ensures the vessel is pointing in the right direction. Calm ensures the vessel is seaworthy and can make the journey smoothly. Trust is the wind in the sails that carries it forward. Without these, the most beautifully crafted phrase is an empty shell going nowhere. This is why desperate or fearful pleas are not only ineffective, but often counterproductive to lie in bed, gripped by anxiety and desperately beg please. I can't handle this. You have to show me what to do is to plant a seed of panic and powerlessness. The subconscious receives the intense emotion of fear and despair operation far more loudly than it receives. The dictionary meaning of the words "show me what to do" It will faithfully work to manifest more of that feeling of helplessness and crisis. The tone of your inner voice is the true instruction. You must learn to speak to yourself not as a desperate petitioner begging a distant king for aid, but as a wise leader consulting with their most trusted advisor. You speak with the calm assurance that the advisor is present, listening, and already working on your behalf. You speak as if you are confident your mind is listening and will respond because you know it is and it will. This shift in tone from pleading to consulting is everything. The examples of phrases are not scripts to be copied verbatim. They are templates to inspire your own authentic expression. A phrase like "show me what I need to understand" is powerful not because of the specific arrangement of the 7 words, but because of the energy behind it. It carries the energy of openness, of curiosity, of a willing student ready to receive a lesson. Bring me clarity on this decision. Carries the energy of focus, directing a beam of light onto a specific area of confusion. Reveal the truth I have been avoiding. When you speak words like "show me what I need to understand," it isn't the arrangement of letters that holds the power. It's the energy, the intention, the openness behind them. That phrase carries with it a posture of humility and curiosity, a willingness to be taught rather than to control, to learn rather than to assume. It shifts you from the rigid stance of "I already know" into the softer, wiser place of "I am open to seeing what I might have missed." Life often tries to speak to us, but our minds are so noisy, our judgments so quick, that we miss the gentle lessons waiting to be revealed. A phrase like this calms the noise. It turns your attention inward and outward at the same time, ready to see what your own heart knows and what the world around you is whispering. Then there is a "bring me clarity on this decision." This is not a vague request, it is a spotlight. It says, "Here is where the fog lies, here is the crossroads where I'm stuck." By speaking it, you are aiming your inner flashlight toward the exact place you need illumination. It carries the energy of focus like a beam cutting through the dark, insisting that the truth come out of hiding and make itself known. Decisions often feel heavy because we try to see the entire map of life at once. This phrase narrows it down. It says, "I don't need the next 10 years. I just need the next step to be clear." That is power, knowing you only need the light for what's in front of you, not the whole journey at once. And then there is the deepest one: "Reveal the truth I have been avoiding." This is not a casual request, it is a brave one. Because sometimes the truth we most need is the one we have been running from. Maybe it is the truth about a relationship, a habit, a dream, or a fear we've refused to face. Saying these words is like opening a door you've kept locked for years. It carries the energy of courage. It is you saying to life, "I am ready now. Show me what I must see, even if it disrupts my comfort, even if it asks me to change." These phrases are powerful because they align your words with the posture of your soul. They move you from resistance into receiving. They don't demand, they invite. They don't beg, they open. And when you approach life with this kind of energy, open, curious, courageous answers have a way of appearing. Not always in the form you expect, not always in the timing you want, but always in the way you most